every story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello there, I'm Nifemi Oguntoye with the CoreTV News this hour. The Presidential Fact-Finding Committee on the Chibok abduction has put the number of missing schoolgirls at 219 out of the initial 276 abducted by insurgents in April. The committee chairman Ibrahim Sabo disclosed this while presenting its findings to President Goodluck Jonathan. The committee also made suggestions on rescue options open to the authorities, but wants the report kept away from public glare.
He here wishes to lay to rest any residual doubt whether or not any student was abducted at Chibok. There was mass abduction on the 14th of April 2014. During the siege on the school, 119 students escaped from the school premises before the insurgents took away their classmates. And a total of 276 students were thus abducted. As of the time of finishing this our report, only 57 of the abducted students have been reunited with their families after escaping along the zigzag transport route taken by the insurgents, or by bolting to safety when the insurgents laid off for rest. Sadly, 219 students remain unaccounted for.
Let me also use this unique opportunity to appreciate the commitment of all Nigerians on this issue of the Chibok girls and the terrorism in the northern part of the country. The international community, both international organizations and key international figures and friendly countries have expressed their concerns. A number of them have been working with government, helping us in various ways to see that we get this girl out and we bring terror to an end in the country. Let me reassure the chairman and members of this committee that your effort will not be in vain, because though you've mentioned it very clearly that the report will have a restricted distribution because of the security nature, but myself and members of the Security Council will digest it properly and see the areas of your suggestions and use it maximally to solve the unique problem that the country has now.
Orientation Agency has denied suggestions that a car rigged with explosives was discovered at the old Federal Secretariat in Abuja. The NOA, through its Twitter account, dismissed the bomb claim. It, however, admitted that there was a bomb scare that elicited the presence of an anti-bomb squad and has confirmed that the suspected vehicle was not laden with bombs. One of Nigeria's leading musicians, D'banj, is now diversifying into agriculture in his 10th year in the music industry. He advocated for Nigeria to commit at least 10% of its annual budget on developing the agriculture sector, in line with the Maputo Declaration. The musician said these at the meeting with Finance Minister Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala in Abuja.
When the One.org approached me in September, last year, September, October, and they told me they wanted me to champion a move in 2014. I said, what move? They said agriculture. I said, why? They said the youths are beginning to forget about this, and that the average age of the farmers in Nigeria and Africa is between 55 and 70, and that what happens after, you know, in the nearest future. I said, for me personally, I can champion any move, but not agriculture, because growing up, if you think farmer, na poor, you dey think. Then they said, you may go suffer, may you go work for somewhere, and then I got enlightened and I got educated, and I found out that Africa still remains the most land that we'll use to be able to feed the rest of the world.
I'm just so pleased that the One Board has put up this advocacy approach for agriculture. Every single thing that Debanj said is true. The image of agriculture on the continent and in the country has been one of poverty, of older people, of lack of sophistication, and that has made our youth not to be interested. And yet, there are one or two things we know about agriculture. Number one is this continent does not have to import even 1 ton of food. You know, if you just take Nigeria, for example, I think we're using only about 44% of our arable land. You know, so we have so much land that is fertile that we can use for agriculture, the same all over Africa. That means that Africans not only should be able to feed themselves, but can feed the world. So that he'll know and he'll be able to testify that he saw it.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much.
So I've become the instrument for passing it. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I like the package as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi says there was a deliberate attempt on his life. Amechi was speaking hours after he was stopped by security forces to attend the mega rally of the All Progressives Congress in Ekiti. He made the statement in a press conference attended by the national chairman of the party, John Odigo and Bukola Saraki.
As we are going, I got a call from the party hierarchy to say, we are aware of what is happening, we are coming to meet you, so wait. So I stopped. Only to turn my back, they were following me. After about 5 to 6 to 7 kilometers of driving, you still followed me here. So at that point, I insisted that I was going nowhere anymore, and I stayed put in that position. And they gave me 20 minutes to move or they will shoot me. I said, and all my people panicked. My security panicked, Dr. Gimbi panicked, my CPS panicked, everybody must go. I said, now I'm ready for the shooting. So I made my prayer. And I made my prayer, I said, I'm ready for the shooting. I will not leave here. So I stayed put, 20 minutes passed. They came back and said, they give us 10 more minutes or they will be forced to shoot. I said, they better start shooting. Because at the 10 minutes, I'll still be here.
The Independent National Electoral Commission in Ekiti began the distribution of sensitive voting materials to the 16 local government areas of the state on Thursday morning. Our correspondent Rashid was there and filed in this report.
The exercise carried out in the presence of officials from APC, Accord, PDP and Labour parties was a continuation of the process which started on Wednesday when the Commission received the materials from the Central Bank of Nigeria.
We now want to open in the presence of everybody. I hope it was the way we left this vehicle that we found it now.
The process was almost marred by an altercation which ensued over some forms that were not serialized and on the directive of INEC that only one party agent will man each point of the exercise.
We are not likely to have the number of voting points that we think we are going to have. From the arithmetic of the people.
The voting materials were later distributed from a truck in accordance with their designated local government areas before their takeoff to their various destinations.
Who is the driver? Who is the driver?
Meanwhile, INEC has assured physically challenged persons of adequate security during the governorship election in Ekiti. The public relations officer of INEC in the state, Taiwo Badegesi, gave the assurance in Ado Ekiti. He says the commission is conscious of the peculiar condition of that category of Nigerians and will make sure they perform their civic responsibilities. The spokesman says the commission had embarked on a sensitization program since February to educate residents, particularly rural dwellers, on the need to ensure a peaceful election. He says INEC had met members of the traditional institution as well as other stakeholders to enlighten them on the need for a peaceful poll. The impeachment moves on Adamawa State Governor Murtala Nyako and his deputy have suffered another setback on Thursday. The company accused of siphoning contract money worth 300 million naira meant for the construction of Mobi Bypass Road by the Adamawa State House of Assembly has debunked the claims. Now, this is coming a day after the House ordered its clerk to serve the state governor and his deputy with impeachment notices. Among the 20 allegations levied against the governor and his deputy, the lawmakers accused a company, Hydrosource Resources Limited, of corruptly siphoning over 300 million naira and failing to carry out the work long after collecting the contract money. The company, however, moved swiftly to debunk the claims.
My company, Hydrosource and Resources, did not receive 300 million naira for Mubi bypass. We collect advance payment in Mubi bypass, but not 300 million naira as the House of Assembly quoted in their allegation on Hydrosource. I'm here to protect the company, not me as a person.
Maidawa, who appeared before the House of Assembly to defend the allegations, says the State Minister of Works did not give them the green light to carry out the project. He said they have since mobilized equipment to the site to commence construction. The company's lawyer, who is saddened at the development, said they will use all legal machinery at their disposal to clear the name of the company. Residents, however, hope the development will not have a negative toll on the state, which is one of the three under emergency rule.
It's a normal thing, it's a constitutional thing. The Assembly is exercising their own constitutional responsibility. It's their constitutional right to serve an impeachment notice on all the governor, on either the governor or the deputy governor. But my problem with what is happening around is the timing. The timing is wrong. This is not the time for you to bring up all of these issues, whether you want to impeach the governor, the deputy governor, all of them at the same time, because it sends a lot of signals that is bad. A lot of people will take you as a selfish assembly.
This development may further delay the effort of the Assembly. You recall that just on Wednesday, the clerk to the House failed to serve the governor and his deputy with the impeachment notice, as the two principals were neither in the office nor at home. The Lagos State University has released the new tuition fees to be paid by students, which range between 76,000 naira, 158,000 naira, and 250,000 naira, in compliance with the state government's directives. Spokesman of the university, Kayode Sultan, says the university's governing council had approved the new tuition fees. Governor Babatunde Fashola reduced the fees as a result of several protests by the students and civil society groups, and directed the university governing council to give the breakdown. Sultan says the new school fees regime will not apply to students at 400 and 500 levels, who shall continue to pay the old rate of 25,000 naira. The management in the statement also directed all students of the university to resume for the 2013-2014 academic session on Monday, 23rd June, in view of the new development. The statement says students are to commence the payment of school fees and registration immediately, and urge them to be law-abiding as they resume. The federal government is to withdraw the licenses of owners of non-performing coal blocks. This was one of the decisions at the meeting of the National Council on Privatization in Abuja. Minister Power Chinedu Nebo explained after the meeting that there is no point in people holding on to license at the time the country is looking for coal to generate power.
Who have licenses for coal blocks, but unfortunately have not developed them. This is costing the country huge sums of money with regard to power production and also to importation of coal by some companies in Nigeria to produce their own power. I think this is not acceptable, and so the National Council on Privatization, under the chairmanship of the Vice President, has now decided to do something very proactive to make sure that those who are holding on to these coal blocks, like land speculators, are, shown the way out of these licenses, because there is no reason why we will be looking for coal to produce power and people are sitting on these resources and refusing to develop them. I don't think it's a very patriotic thing to do, and so the decision of the National Council on Privatization is to ensure that those who do not want to immediately begin to produce coal have their licenses withdrawn.
The Lagos Council of the Nigeria Labour Congress has called for an open and transparent oil sector and the passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill, which has been on the front burner since 2007. Olajumoke Olatide was at the one-day interactive enlightenment workshop organized to create awareness for the general public on the PIB.
The Petroleum Industry Bill was designed to strengthen the capacity of indigenous Nigerian companies in the oil and gas sector to compete with international oil companies and to reduce exploitation in the oil sector to the barest minimum. The process for a new industry bill started afresh in 2012 and was forwarded to the 7th National Assembly by the executive arm of government on the 18th of July 2012 for consideration and passage into law. The Lagos Council of the Nigerian Labour Congress made its position known on the challenges surrounding the passage of the bill. Deputy General Secretary of NUPENG, Adamu Song, speaks on the opportunities and problems associated with the delay in the passage of the bill.
We are talking about the PIB is intended to open up the industry, liberalize a lot of things, improve transparency, improve best practices. And up to now, the law is not passed. So you can see the challenges are enormous. The challenges of the opportunity of the opening will not be there. The unbundling of the NNPC is not there. The benefits accruable to the communities are not there. They are minimal. They are just quite a chunk of them.
For his part, guest speaker and General Secretary of Pengasan, Bayo Olowoshile, while seeking openness and transparency in the oil sector, relates the benefits to be derived from the passage of the bill.
Yeah, the good thing about the issue of transparency of the extractive industry, where we belong to, is also that NEITI and extractive international transparency initiatives are collaborating with the civil society, which includes labor union, to also ensure that the industry, everything that is affecting the industry are seriously appraised, and they also expose those areas of weaknesses for government to do something.
Other participants also advocate the quick passage of the bill, which they say will create more job opportunities in the country.
If the bill was eventually passed and all the stakeholders really follow the rules, of course it will increase employment, it will create a conducive environment. The consumer too will be able to pay less and have more product.
The benefit is enormous, it's great. One, there will be a lot of employment, things will be straightened out, there will be all those leakages of income will be closed. We will know facts and figures.
The Petroleum Industry Bill began in 2007 following a recommendation by a presidential committee set up to carry out an oil and gas reform sector aimed at making Nigeria one of the most industrious nations in the world by the year 2020. But till date, the National Assembly still yet to pass this law, which puts a lot of questions on the mind of Nigerians as to when exactly this bill will be considered. Olajumoke Olatide, CoreTV News, Lagos.
The principal OAP Academy, Kamal Salawu, has stated that the fall in the standard and lack of interest of the younger generation in education is as a result of an archaic and uncreative style of imparting knowledge. He made this disclosure at the seminar organized by the alumni of the School of Media and Communications for secondary school students on media-related courses at Fountain Heights Secondary School, Surulere in Lagos. Omatayo Alo was there and brought back this report.
As part of their community social responsibility, alumni of the School of Media and Communications gave back to the society by training secondary school students from over 6 schools in mass media and its enormous advantage for entrepreneurial attainments. According to President of Certificates in Media Enterprise, Aaron Okodia, and former President Bolaji Fati, the training for the students was born out of the need to salvage a society of intellectual deterioration and an avenue to mentor future leaders on the right path.
We are teaching them all those opportunities, letting them to know all those opportunities, and also telling them that there is a responsible way to use the new media instead of gossip, lying, and the rest of them. There's a responsible way of using the new media.
Over time, we have been successfully impacting the students and helping them to understand that having a career in media and communication can be an exciting thing, and what it is that they need to be able to make that kind of step in the career life that they're picking.
The teacher at the event says both neglect from parents and societal influence are responsible for the drop in interest of students in their studies and general misbehavior.
Society has really contributed a lot to this immoral act in there, indisciplined act in there, which we need still the same society that will still instill the right thing for them to do.
Student participants at the seminar hope to use the knowledge gathered in making right future decisions.
My contribution of gaining something here is just to prove to myself that I can also be a media communicator.
If I've had skills, I would like to practice the skills to have more impact of what to do, so that if I get to the university, I'll be more impacted of what I've learned. That's what I've learned today.
In the words of one of the resource persons and an alumni of SMC, training students at a young age on what obtains in the media would not only make them be informed, but also make them responsible media practitioners in the country.
Our educational system just graduates employees, people without an entrepreneurial or a creative or you see, I don't want to use the word entrepreneurial in the sense of just creating your own job, but in terms of even if you are an employee, you are creative and productive as an employee. You're not one of those people that just go to work and just, say Facebook for the first 2 hours when you get to work, and then you're grumbling and complaining about and gossiping about what's happening in the office. I'm talking about people who are really, really creative, people who see their position at their office in that workplace as their own business.
According to a popular saying, the children of today are the leaders of tomorrow. And for alumni of the School of Media and Communication, they say that a decision made today would determine a brighter future. Omotayo, CoreTV News, Lagos.
You're watching CoreTV News live from Lagos. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with more stories. Do stay with us.
CoreTV News now provide a platform for live coverage of political rallies and electioneering campaign from anywhere in Nigeria. Political news stories, political editorial reviews, political discussions, personality profile, People's Parliament from the National, State and Local Government Assembly. Contact us now on 0803-471-8550 or 0803-724-9733. 01453-3407.
Our 24-hour news station.
Glad to have you back. The Haitian government has announced the legislative elections will be held in October, 3 years behind schedule, amidst a slow earthquake recovery process. The election delay has fueled anti-government demonstrations which have rocked the America's poorest country. The first round of voting for 112 deputies and 20 senators is scheduled for October 26. The date for the second round will be set by the electoral board. Thousands of people demonstrated in the streets of Port-au-Prince calling for the resignation of President Michel Martelly and his Chief of Staff, Laurent Lamothe, before police broke up the demonstration. 4 years after a devastating January 2010 earthquake, the deeply impoverished nation is still struggling to recover from the widespread devastation that killed 250,000 people. The tragedy originally left about 1 million people homeless. Pakistani helicopter gunships attacked militant targets in the country's northwest, killing up to 20 rebels as the number of civilians fleeing an expected ground offensive reached 150,000. Now, nearly 100,000 people have left North Waziristan tribal area on the Afghan border this week after the military launched a long-awaited assault against Taliban hideouts. The authorities eased a shoot-on-sight curfew to give civilians a chance to leave before troops begin a full-blooded ground operation. A senior security official says that helicopter gunships targeted militant hideouts in an early morning raid in Kutabgir, in the area of Miransha, the main town of North Waziristan, killing up to 20 militants. A local intelligence official also confirmed the attack and casualties. Nearly 250 insurgents have been killed since the start of the operation. According to security officials, saying it's not possible to confirm the exact number or identity of those killed. Washington has long demanded action against militant hideout in North Waziristan, which has served as a rear base for insurgents battling U.S.-led forces in Afghanistan. The fighting has triggered a huge exodus of civilians from North Waziristan, both into the Pakistani cities of Banu, Peshawar and Kohat, and across the border into Afghanistan. It's a wrap on CoreTV News of this hour. Join us again at the top of the hour at 9:45 for the primetime news. I am Nifemi Okuntoye. Do stay with us.